Hello, I am here with Margot the Palm today, and we're going to do a series of core training in our neutral stack and then work in a little bit of rotation. So I have here a weight, a light Pilates ball, this is 2 pounds, and then a kettlebell, which is 9 pounds. The weight is 5 pounds. And if you've been with me in the office, you already have a concept of, keeping your ribs over your pelvis, what it's like to use your core muscles appropriately without ripping, without tucking. So we've already gone over some of those fundamentals. The first exercise I'm going to do is just going to be in she's very cute, isn't she? Is going to be in a 4-point kneeling, which is another word for quadruped or on hands and knees. And I'm going to be employing some of the principles that we've done before in our 90-90. It's essentially the same position, but I'm just going to be on my knees and on my hands instead of on my back. So I need to have a little bit more control of my core in order to achieve that. So I'm going to start in my 4-point kneeling, wrists right underneath the shoulders, knees right underneath the hips. And then I'm going to think about zipping up from my lower abs and engaging my core, but still being able to breathe into the bra line and the lateral ribs. So that's my first ability. Can I do that? Can I stay strong? And we've probably worked on some shoulder control in this position so that you have an idea of how to use the muscles that stabilize the scapula. Next, I'm going to bring along, I'll start with the Pilates ball. So the reason that I'm starting with the ball is that it's easy to roll, so it makes it super easy versus the weight, which is heavier, and then the kettlebell, which is heavier, and then you have to pick up rather than roll, okay? So in this 4-point kneeling position, I'm trying to play with the dog, but also to keep my core stable and my deep core engaged. I'm holding a brace, but I should still be able to breathe. In other words, I'm not gripping, okay? So I'm going to keep that position, and can I just keep that position and start to roll the weight? So I'm unloading myself on one side and then unloading myself on the other side. This is pretty simple. To make it a little bit harder, I can use the weight. So now I have to actually lift something up, and I'm trying not to rotate. And then last but not least, I can do it with a kettlebell, which means I have to bring my shoulder into more of a lifted position. And again, I'm trying not to rotate my ribs. I'm trying to keep myself nice and stable and strong, being able to still breathe into the ribs. So I'm not gripping through my abs. That is not what is happening, okay? Next, I'm gonna go up into what I call a primal push-up, but it's really like a 4-point kneeling hover. And I'll just start with the ball. So can I be in that 4-point kneeling hover, chin away from the chest, and then slowly start to roll the ball? And there's a little bit of a weight shift here, but I'm trying not to lose my core control. I can do that with the weight. So I can start to have to lift the weight up, which makes me have to transfer my weight from one upper extremity and lower extremity to the other. So this is a little bit harder, and it's hard to do and talk. And then last but not least, trying to give Margot her space with elephant. Last but not least, can I do this with my kettlebell? So again, something a little bit heavier, something that I have to actually pick up and move. So I'm keeping that 4-point position. To make this even more challenging, I can start to lift my base of support, meaning come off the floor. So in order to do that, I'm just going to use this riser here on this squat rack, and I'll do it with a kettlebell. Try not to hurt Margot, of course. So what I'm going to do is go into like a long plantigrade plank position. So I'm keeping myself, again, stacked neutral. And then can I do that neutral stack, chin away from the chest? Now this introduces a little bit of rib cage rotation. So you see that I'm having to rotate my rib cage to move, but I'm still able to keep my brace, keep my core engaged. I can then come down, be in a half kneel or kind of that plantigrade plank position, plantigrade quadruped position, and introduce the same thing. So I'm essentially just taking away a little bit of a base of support. That's really the progression of the exercise, is learning how to keep that stack initially, move things, in other words, unload your weight, shift your weight without getting a lot of perturbation in the core, and then start to add a little bit of rotation, more from the rib cage, but still maintaining the exercise.